They are the 49ers, and they've won 5 Super Bowls, but none since 1995. The quest for 6 starts right now. And it is a gorgeous day for football here at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, and I mean gorgeous. I mean, I'm against putting on sunglasses, Bailey, but I may have to before this is all over. The Niners getting ready to host the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game with a trip to Super Bowl 58 on the line. And welcome everybody to a quest for 6 brought to you by your Northern California Ford dealers. I'm Jason Applebaum alongside Bailey O'Carroll, and we are streaming live on Fox Local from coast to coast.
Absolutely. We want to say hi to everybody else in all the other cities that are watching. Seattle, Detroit, where I'm sure it is a lot colder than it is right here.
Just a little bit,
yeah. I talked to some people out here earlier. They said it was nice, comfortable in the 30s. It's like 72 out here and sunny. I had to take my jacket off.
I mean, this is winter in California, so if you're watching on the other, anywhere else in the country, I'm sorry, but this is just the way it is.
Phoenix might have it quite as good as
Phoenix.
Phoenix
has it good. Listen, if you're one of the NFC West affiliates watching now, don't worry, the 49ers are going to represent today.
Absolutely, and who's representing this show out around the Bay Area? We have a whole lot of our folks out covering this game. Of course, we are up here perched atop kind of the field. We've got Alice Wirtz, who is at a bar where 49ers fans have packed in Walnut Creek. We've got Sal and Frank Malico holding it down in Oakland for us in studio. And then, of course, we have the one and only Joe Fonzie, who is joined on the field by the voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan Miller. Joe?
Yeah, guys, we just symbolically heard a foghorn a minute ago, and I don't think we're going to see any fog here today, but a guy's been nice enough to join us. Dan Miller is the play-by-play broadcaster for the Detroit Lions. And Dan, between that and television, you've been involved with the Lions for how many years?
27.
So you've seen some real lows, and people forget that, this is the 4th time the 49ers have been to the NFC Championship game in 5 years.
Yeah.
We've seen some real lows as well, but you weathered 0-16, you've weathered a lot of things. So how excited are the people in the Motor City to have this version of the Lions do what they're doing right now?
It's incredible, and it really started before the season. When they finished last year 8-2, fans bought in, and this was the first year that season tickets were sold out before the first game was even played. So from that opening game that they had in Kansas City, where you saw a blue wave go in there and invade Arrowhead, and they won that game, and then from there they did lose the next week, but really put together a run after that. These fans have been just unbelievable. And then to get to the playoffs, to win a division, something they hadn't done in 30 years, have a home playoff game, which they've never had at Ford Field. They've just been ramping it up every week, and it's been electric to see them win 2 playoff games at Ford Field and now be here in the NFC Championship for only the first time since 1991. It's just been an incredible ride, and these fans have a lot of pent-up emotions, and you're seeing them come out.
What do you attribute? I think changing a culture is one of the most difficult things to do, and we've seen it here numerous times. Is it Dan Campbell? What is it exactly that enabled the Lions to kind of turn things around?
Starts with the owner, Sheila Hamp. I mean, even before she hired Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, she decided after firing Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, the organization needed changing. The organization was broken. It was fractured. People didn't feel valued. She needed to bring people in that were going to be collaborative and make sure that everybody in that building knew that they were a part of winning, losing, whatever it was. And that was the way they approached the coaching search. And they were going to find 2 people that fit that and were going to live that. And they did. And these guys have lived it ever since. It's the best run this organization has been, certainly since I've been there, and probably long before that. So I credit her for not just going out and hiring somebody, but for having a vision and hiring somebody to fit that.
Well, and you talked about the blue wave, and as I look around here, I see some pockets. There's no question about it. I would assume that people, if they have never been there, if they're young enough to not remember, money's maybe not an object. They're getting out here somehow and getting a ticket and getting
I'm not sure how they've done it all year, because secondary ticket prices are not cheap, flights are not cheap, but man, they've done it. We've heard figures around 22% today maybe that there could be Lions fans here. Whatever it is, they make themselves known. It's been amazing. We'll sit up in the booth and watch the blue shirts come in, and we're like, man, they're getting more. There's more. There's more. But these fans love this team. They've just for so long needed something they could believe in, and they've given them back.
Well, interesting that these teams have never met in an NFC Championship game. They've met previously in the playoffs.
Yep.
Everybody remembers the Eddie Murray kick, undoubtedly. Yep. And then 49er fans, longtime 49er fans, lament what happened in 1957 when they had a huge lead at halftime. The Lions came from behind and beat them in what was actually a playoff game to determine who the Western winner was that year to go on and play for the NFL Championship. Do fans remember those things back in Detroit? I know they certainly do here.
I was talking to a good friend of mine, John Godfirst, who was at the 1957 championship game, and I was talking to him this week, and he said, but you know what was great? The week before at Kezar Stadium, the Lions are down by 20 in the second half, and they come back and win, and Tom Tracy, a little-known guy out of Birmingham, Michigan, who had not scored a touchdown in his NFL career, scored 2 that day to help them with that comeback, and it was just, you know, for people that have been around, they will let you know they were there for that last championship in 1957. And it's obviously, we've lost a lot of them. We need to make new memories.
Right. And I've always thought that was kind of a misrepresentation to say the Lions are one of only 4 teams that have never been to the Super Bowl, because that was pre-Super Bowl era, but they won it all in 1957.
Yeah, and they were good in the 50s. I mean, we had the 50s. We were good back then. But you know what? They need, and for a long time have had to turn things around. Look, they were pretty good in the 60s at times, too. They couldn't get past the Packers, which a lot of teams could. But, look, that's history, and they haven't been able to do much since then. They've made the playoffs several times, but not been able to sustain anything. Fans are looking for a team, not just for a year, but that can build success the way the 49ers have, the way that Pittsburgh does, the way that Baltimore does, the way Kansas City has. That's what they're looking for. Look, they'd love to win today. Today is what's in front of them. It'd be fantastic. But they're also hoping that this is something with a firm foundation that allows you to be a contender year after year.
A little bit of X's and O's. I kind of analyzed this game that the 49ers need to get to Jared Goff and make him uncomfortable. In last week's game, when they finally did that with Jordan Love, they were able to force some things defensively, and he's a little less mobile than some of the quarterbacks who have really given them trouble. And when they've been successful, it's been because they stop the run and make a team one-dimensional. How would you kind of analyze what the big picture things are?
When the Lions turn the ball over, they don't win.
Okay.
If you go back and look, since the Lions were 1-6 last year, they finished 8-2, then went 12-5 this year, won 2 playoff games. Haven't turned the ball over in the playoffs yet, haven't trailed yet. When they don't turn the ball over, they win the game. I mean, that's just the way it's been for them. When they lose, -2, -3 of the turnover ratio, they seem to come in waves. They don't play well. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That's probably the key to beating the Lions, is finding some way to get them to make a mistake. I think the Lions are looking at the 49ers the same way. Can they get something away from Brock Purdy? Can they make him make a mistake? Give up a possession, maybe get points off your defense or a short field.
I have to ask you a kind of inside baseball play-by-play question. Number one, we appreciate you being down here because, you know, you normally are up there kind of looking over last-second things, so we appreciate you coming down here pregame. Number two, modern stadiums, like press box is an afterthought. They put you as high as they possibly can. They wear these crazy uniforms now with no contrast between the numbers, and I'm thinking of the all-gray ones that the Lions wear. How in the world do you see numbers and call a game with the conditions that I now just described?
Well, one, management promised me that next year we'll have a uniform change and our numbers will pop more and the font will be easier to understand.
You also requested that?
Yes, the font will be easier to understand. Number two, I got a good spotter.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you is I got somebody helping me out, pointing to guys. When I don't have it, they've got it, so we figure it out.
Well, we sure appreciate you taking time with us, and you know that probably everybody in this stadium, if it wasn't for the 49ers, they would be rooting for the Lions against whoever else in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, we haven't hurt anybody in a long time. We're easy to root for, likable team, likable head coach, and it's great. I appreciate this. I appreciate Frank Malakote. He's actually the guy I replaced in Detroit.
Wow.
So I appreciate the desk he left behind and all the success that Frank has had since then.
And I'll throw out one other name, Wayne Walker, who I worked with all those years.
One of the
15
greats.
years of Detroit Lions. So
no
the
doubt.
fact that they remember him in Detroit. Dan, man, we really appreciate you stopping
Thank
by.
you, man.
Have a great
Appreciate
call.
you.
All right, thank
Thanks.
you very much. Back to you guys, huh?
Okay, Joe and Dan, great stuff. Yeah. The Lions are no doubt nationally the sentimental favorite. I mean, this is their second ever conference championship game. They haven't been here since the 1991 season. They've never been to a Super Bowl, and I just don't want people at home in the Bay Area to be confused. Just because I'm wearing a blue shirt, this was the shirt that I had. It was pressed. It was ready to go, and I said, I got to wear this shirt Bailey, you're representing with the red.
Correct.
So we've got both teams covered here, but don't confuse it that I'm rooting for the Detroit Lions because of my shirt.
No, blue's a neutral nowadays. I consider blue a neutral, I have to say. But we did hear these Lions, they're easy to cheer for, right? They're kind of that Cinderella story, if you will, in these playoffs. But Brock Purdy, right, he's kind of easy to cheer for, too. He's got a great story. But while Joe was doing his interview on the field, we heard a big cheer coming from down on the field. I mentioned to Jason, I said, I think that's when Debo came out. These Niners fans so excited to see Debo, of course, on the field after that scary moment when he went out with a shoulder injury and the last game against the Packers, Jason. And I talked to his high school coach, Debo's high school coach, who actually came out to this game at the last minute. He said he was at Debo's house last night. I asked him, we were texting, I said, how is he? What's the inside scoop? He goes, Debo's good, he's good to go, no restrictions, he's ready to make it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, listen, when he practiced on Wednesday, there was no doubt that he was going to give it a go today. He's good to go, the 49ers are good to go, and we have a whole lot more for you coming up after the break on A Quest for Six, brought to you by your California Ford dealers. Back in a moment.
Here's to a great game from everyone here at KTVU. Go Niners.
And welcome back to the Quest for Six, brought to you by your California Ford dealers. We're going to go straight down to Joe Fonzie on the field because he's got a 49er Hall of Famer. Bryant Young is on the field right now with Joe Fonzie. Joe, take it away.
Yeah, guys, the thing about a game like this is it kind of has a build. You never know who's going to show up, and Bryant Young, the Hall of Famer, just dropped by a second ago. That's all right. It's all good. It's always fluid down here. And Brian, I have to ask you, number one, I don't think I've ever on the air congratulated you for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was a fantastic day, and your numbers retired and all those things. But playoff game versus a regular season game, is there any way to gauge kind of the difference and the intensity in those games?
Oh, absolutely. You can feel it in the atmosphere. It's here. The people are here. The excitement's here. It's that game. You're that close. And so the energy level with all the fans, the anticipation of everything, it's just an exciting moment. The players, you try not to let the nerves get the best of you and try and resume and go about business the same way as you had been. but there's a little bit extra that you have to give, and players do understand that. So you'll see everybody giving their very best today.
And I have to ask you, you were a rookie the last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl, and that was the 1994 season, and it kind of felt like it's going to continue to happen regularly. It hasn't happened since then. They've been there but lost a couple. How difficult is it to actually get to that mountaintop, and how hungry are all of you guys who are former players to see these guys win another one?
It's always difficult each year. Each season takes on its own identity. The chemistry changes just a little bit, and so you try and find your identity each year. And it's hard to duplicate. When you have success, it's hard to duplicate that. And so, but never do you give up trying to duplicate that. And when you do have those opportunities to be in a Super Bowl and play and win one, it's a great feeling, but it's always hard to get back there.
And what are your thoughts about this team? It feels like they have all the pieces in place in the key positions.
Absolutely. They're right where I anticipated them to be with the personnel and how this team has been built with the chemistry and just a cohesive effort in terms of how the front office has worked together, the coaching staff and the players. And so the time is now. You know, they've gotten to this point, which has been anticipated for a long time, and here we are. And you know, my hat's off to them, and I'm looking for the Niners to be in the Super Bowl.
One thing, and great thing about guys like you that we're so identified with this organization is that you guys come back. And I know you coached a little bit at San Jose State. You've been raising kids. You got inducted into the Hall of Fame. What's up in your life these days? Yeah,
I've been a little bit busy with kids, first and foremost family, but coaching, I've been able to give back in that way, being a coach mentor, coached in the league, coached in college for a little while. The last 4 years I coached my son, and got a chance he worked himself into a position to earn an athletic scholarship to Notre Dame, and so I'll still support him from the back end. I've still got 2 young kids at home, so we'll see what that next step is. I'm not sure if I'll continue to coach or pivot at this point.
Well, we really appreciate you dropping by. It's always great to see you, and let me just tell you, one of the true gentlemen in the game, Brian Young, thanks so much for stopping by and talking with us. All right, thank you. Let's go back to you guys upstairs.
Okay, Joe, yeah, we'll catch up with you a little later in the show, but you are right. One of the real good guys in the 49ers, all time, really, and one of the last member of their last Super Bowl winning team in 1995. It's been 29 years since then. We've got some rabid fans here, Bailey, but I want to pivot and talk a little bit about Brock Purdy. He was asked earlier this week about what the difference is coming into this game versus last NFC Championship game. You remember Brock Purdy took over Week 13 after injured Jimmy Garoppolo, and this year it's been his team, the unquestioned quarterback. So let's hear what he had to say about that earlier this week.
Where last year, I got thrusted in and we had a good team. We were rolling. And not to take away anything that happened last year, but it sort of does feel a little different because you went through so many highs and lows this year. And now to get to where we are, it's like, okay, it feels pretty good. So, but at the same time, this has been this organization's and team's mindset long before I even got here.
Well, and you heard Purdy there, Jason. I talked to some people who know him pretty well. I actually just got off the phone with one of his mentors about 10 minutes before we came live on this show. He told me Brock's whole family is here today. That Brock, it's no secret, he's a family guy. But he told me something that I really hadn't heard before, and that's when Brock was a senior in high school, he came up to his mentor and said, hey, which community college do you think I should look at going to? Boy, now he's going to start in the NFC Championship game, right?
And he's got the 49ers 1 win away from the Super Bowl. And the only way he may shed the Mr. Irrelevant label is if he wins a Super Bowl, or at least gets him there, because everyone wants to know about Brock Purdy. How did so many general managers, how did so many teams miss on this guy? So you look at what he's done, if you watch what he's done, he's unquestionably one of the top quarterbacks in the league this year. But a lot of folks around the country, anytime he has a bad game, they're like, see, told you so. So Brock Purdy seems like one of the most humble superstars in the making that I've met.
Absolutely, and one other nugget I'll throw out there for you guys is that when he was in high school, his family didn't have a lot. He didn't come from some skybox, if you will, looking down on everybody else, and didn't have a lot of money. But in high school, he started a toy drive with his own money that he earned to give underprivileged kids choice when he was in high school, right? Like, you hear all the time athletes, and there's a lot of them are great people, right? And we're back in high school, but rarely do you ever hear a story like that.
Yeah, and like you said, you've met his family, so you know how down to earth he is. A real humble superstar, I would say. Not a superstar yet, but if he can get the 49ers to the Super Bowl, that would be a different story.
Absolutely, and I think that last drive in the game against the Packers was absolutely kind of something that made fans and everybody around this league go, hey, this guy could be the real deal. The last-minute drive to kind of win that Green Bay Packers game, which could have gone very differently, obviously.
And Bailey, that's really the mark of a great quarterback, because all the great quarterbacks have bad days, right? They all do. I mean, nobody remembers, but Joe Montana in the 1981 NFC Championship game against Dallas, everybody remembers the catch. Joe Montana had 4 interceptions in that game, I believe. 3 or 4 interceptions, but they won the game. He made the play when he had to. Brock Purdy didn't have a great game against the Packers. The ball was slipping out of his hands, whatever you want to say. But when the cards, when it was all on the table, all on the line, he made the plays when he had to.
Which is right how winning teams do it. It's how championship teams do it. And so obviously everybody very nervous, kind of anticipatory to see how he does in this game. We just saw him warming up down on the field. It looks like he may have gone back into the locker room now, but he was out there warming up for quite some time here right before this. I believe that we have Alice Wirtz.
I think we're going to catch up with her after the break. Okay. We have a whole lot in store for you. Alice Wirtz is at a sports bar in Walnut Creek. We're going to go to her. We're going to go to Frank and Sal in the studio with social media and fan reaction. But for now, we're going to take a break, but we'll be back in 2 minutes.
It'll be another hostile environment. It'll be another great team. It'll be another complete team that we're going to go in there and do our best to knock them off. And yeah, it'll be a fun game. I grew up a Niner fan, and I was able to get all those, playing in front of the Bay Area team done when I had my time with the Rams. So yeah, it'll be fun to play a big game there. But I've played there quite a few times, and we'll have some friends and family there. It'll be cool.
All right, welcome back to A Quest for Six, brought to you by your California Ford dealers. Jason Applebaum and Bailey O'Carroll with you. And, Bailey, I got the feeling listening to Jared Goff, maybe tone down the questions about coming home. But he's played them 9 different times, 8 with the Rams and 1 in Detroit. So he's kind of like, yeah, it's a big deal. I'm coming home, but let's talk about the game and some other things. That's the impression I got.
He's used to it, he's been here before. But a lot of people are still really excited, of course, just because of the stakes, right? That's what's at stake about 70.5 miles from here in Levi Stadium. He played his high school ball at Marin Catholic. We went there earlier this week to talk to his high school coach, some of his old former teammates, and some of his childhood friends who are at the game today to find out a little bit about who Jared Goff was off the field in addition to on the field.
With the first pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff, quarterback, California.
Under the bright lights of Levi Stadium, some lifelong San Francisco 49ers fans will do the unthinkable and root for the opposing team.
We love Jared Goff around here, man, even if I am a Niners fan.
I think we all know in our hearts who we're rooting for. For me, I'm rooting for my boy Jared Goff.
Long before he was slinging passes for the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff was perfecting his craft at Marin Catholic, where he broke nearly every record the school has.
He was a beanpole, man. He was a skinny guy, not bright blonde hair, but very blonde, and just, a great athlete. He's super skinny, super tall, but very athletic.
Goff, a Novato native, earned the full-time starting job at Marin Catholic his junior year and remained at the helm as a senior. Off the field, those who know Goff best, including his childhood teammate and friend Alex Pokse, will tell you he was just one of the guys.
He likes to have fun. He likes to mix it up a little bit, but he's a hell of a friend and just a great person to be around.
They described Goff as a bit of a prankster, but a solid student who maintained a 3.8 GPA, all while separating himself on the field. Though the caliber of his success once he left Marin Catholic is something not many could have predicted.
No one coaches somebody and says, hey, they're going to go on to be All-Pro or be in the Super Bowl and do the things he's done.
After high school, Goff decided to take his talents not too far down the road to UC Berkeley. In 2016, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams and years later traded to the Detroit Lions. Seemingly every stop Goff has made, he took his teams from sometimes nearly winless to a success story, something Goff has gotten little attention for, though Pokse says Goff doesn't care, nor does he need the attention.
It doesn't really matter, and it doesn't matter to him because he's such a humble and kind of non-spotlight kind of guy. He just wants to do his job and get in and get out and play football, something that he loves doing.
They say what's impressed them the most is that despite his success, Goff has remained nearly the same kid that walked the halls of Marin Catholic a decade ago.
He'll come back and, he'll talk to the guys at camp. He'll send a video here or there for the team or for the guys. He did that during this year.
He's made it a point to give back to the program that shaped him. When Marin Catholic won their first state championship, Goff surprised his alma mater with something they'll likely never forget.
When Coach Maz got us all together, it was like, Jared Goff is going to pay for our rings. We're like, no freaking way, man. It's not just that we won state. It's that Jared freaking Goff is paying for him. It was really cool it was just really cool. It was a cool experience just to be like, hey, to tell people, hey, Jared Goff, he paid for my ring. He went to my school.
There you go, Jared Goff giving back a little bit to the local community, and it is because Jared Goff and this Lions team that all these Lions fans are out here today. We got one fan over here who made this sign. He said they want one, right?
Well, he says they come in peace, but I don't know if that's true because I think they want to win this game. But we come in peace. We come as one. You have 5 rings and we want one. Is that all? That's all you want, huh?
That's all we want, just one.
What's your name?
My name is Fasahat Hamzavi.
Well, we, you know what? We hope you get your one, but just not this year.
It's been 67 years. We love you, San Francisco, but give us one. We'll love you more.
You beat us the last time you got one in 1957. You beat us that time.
You know who has more fan reaction from the rest of San Francisco? The crowd is not.
Do it for the Bay! For the Bay, baby!
Right now, guys, what are you seeing on social media?
All right, Jason. Well, hey, by the way, we love Cal. Go Bears. So we love Jared Goff, too. But
we want him to get another year.
We do. Not this year, that's for sure. Electric environment down at Levi's, and wait till 3:30 in the kickoff. And Sal and I got you covered for the next half hour on conversations surrounding the game and social media. And I think a few things have caught you, right?
Yeah, I'm intrigued by all the conspiracy theories out there, specifically the one about the NFL's Super Bowl logo and its colors. It's the hottest conspiracy out there for the folks who think the NFL is scripted. I don't believe that, but some people do. People think the league was foretelling the Super Bowl with the colors they use on the game's logo. Super Bowl 56's logo had yellow and orange in it. That year, the Rams faced the Bengals, who wear yellow and orange, respectively. Super Bowl 57 was green and red, the Eagles and Chiefs colors. And this year, you guessed it, red and purple, which are the Niners and Ravens. However, based on what we're seeing there, Frank, the Ravens have some work to do, right?
It might be red and red.
Oh, okay, yeah, exactly.
Red and gold, anyways. The Chiefs are looking pretty good.
Let's take a look at some of the social media we've had. They're going to put it up here on the board for us. 49ers honorary team captain today, Frank. It's just right.
There you go. Barry Sanders on the other side. Joe Cool.
Faithful, it's Championship Sunday. You know, we've had our share of these games before, right? Unfortunately, in the last few years, they haven't come all the way.
Yeah, I love this. Love this guy, 49er star George Kittle, repping his wife on his shirt pregame. That's how you do it, George Kittle. By the way, they are college sweethearts. They met at Iowa. She's an athlete as well.
Faithful to the Bay. Let's get it, 49ers. You know, that's something that's relatively new, the whole faithful to the Bay thing. And the Warriors are tweeting that, right? Because the Warriors are obviously wanting the Niners to win. Faithful to the Bay, FTTB.
Yeah, and America loves an underdog story. They just don't love this one. Do you know who that is?
That's Richard Sherman.
Is that Richard Sherman?
Yeah, it is Richard Sherman. Yeah, he's been one of the Brock Purdy
How can you not love Brock Purdy, right?
Some people, some of the national guys have been, it is. Well. All right, so let's go back to Bailey and Jason at Levi Stadium.
All right, fellas, gals.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, you saw that Warriors tweet. Klay Thompson was rocking the Kristen Juszczyk custom jacket. Just about everybody in the world, I feel like all the A-listers are rocking.
It didn't hurt that she had Taylor Swift wear one of her jackets.
I got to get my hands on one of those jackets. Not today, though, because it's way too hot, but I do have to get my hands on one.
No jackets needed today. It's about 72 degrees at Levi Stadium as we're getting ready for the NFC Championship game. You see the countdown clock about 57 minutes out from the big game. We're going to take a little break, but when we're back, we're going to take a closer look at the national anthem. It's going to be sung by Luis Fonsi, and we're going to go.
We got Joe
down
Fonsi
to Joe
on the
Fonsi
field.
first, who's on the field. Joe.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You never know who you're going to get down here. And I ran into a guy that I go, okay, kind of hard to find a 49er connection, but I got to talk to him anyway. Matt Buzza, wide receiver at the University of California, Baltimore Colts. But you have a great 49er story because there were 4 wide receivers in 1981. You would have been the 5th.
That's right. I got an opportunity. Coach Walsh, Sam Weich worked out our quarterback that year, Rich Campbell, who ended up being a first-round pick with the Green Bay Packers, and Sam Weich invited me to training camp that year as an undrafted free agent. There was only 13 guys there, and I kind of hung on for a while behind Dwight. It was a great experience, and then went on to Baltimore and Indianapolis.
So Mike Schumann is the reason that you don't have a Super Bowl ring.
That's right. As I say, Mike, are you taking care of my ring? He goes, yeah, I got your name on the backside. So great story there.
All right, you have to tell us one other story. The one thing about when you're around these guys for a period of time, there's always stories. He went to play for a guy by the name of Frank Cush, one of the most, it was a military camp that he was running. And I love what you would always tell him. Didn't have a lot of respect, Arizona State guy. Baltimore Colts didn't have a lot of respect for people from Cal. And I love what you would tell him when he would ask you, Buzza, where'd you go to school?
Well, I was offsides one time, and again, he gave me the opportunity to be with the Colts, so I want to speak respectfully of him. But I went offside one time, and he said, Buzza, that's horrible. Where'd you go to school? I said, Arizona State. He goes, knock it off. So it was a good-natured relationship. But he was a taskmaster and really an old-school coach you don't see much around anymore.
All right, well, he's one of the local guys that has maybe conflicting loyalties here. He probably wouldn't feel terrible if either team won for different reasons.
No, well, my son roomed with Jared Goff, Jared's first year at Cal, so there's some tie-ins there, but hard to go against the Niner Nation. Got a lot of good friends on that team.
Hey, always great seeing you.
Love you, Joey.
Maybe we'll do games together again someday.
I hope so again. Thank you very much.
Good seeing you, Matt. All right, let's go back to you guys upstairs.
Thanks, Joe. We got a little love love for my Sun Devils. I'm an ASU alum. They've been struggling as of late. We don't need to talk about that, right?
You'll take all the love you can get.
But yeah, exactly. You know, Arizona, U of A had a big loss.
You brought the sunshine today, Bailey.
That's true. I like to think that I do bring the sunshine everywhere I go. But hey, we're going to take a quick break. But as Jason mentioned just a minute ago, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the big 49ers fan of a national anthem singer coming up next.
Sabes que ya llevo un rato mirándote. Tengo que bailar contigo hoy. Chihuahua. Vi que tu mirada ya estaba llamándome.
All right, welcome back to the Quest for Six, brought to you by your Northern California Ford dealers. Jason, fans here at Levi's in store for some pretty good musical guests this afternoon. We've got Journey at halftime, Nate Smith before the game also.
We've got a lot going on. You saw that was Luis Fonsi singing Despacito. And like you said, fans here are going to enjoy a variety of performances. Northern California country singer Nate Smith will take the stage. Journey at halftime, as you said, Bailey. And just before kickoff, singer Luis Fonsi will perform the national anthem. KTVU's Alex Savage takes a look at the huge stars who's performed the anthem recently ahead of the NFC Title Championship game.
Despacito, quiero desnudarte a besos despacito, firma las paredes de tu laberinto.
He's best known for the up-tempo smash hit Despacito that helped propel reggaeton and Latin music further into the mainstream. But this Sunday, Luis Fonsi will slow things down as he performs the national anthem ahead of the NFC title game at Levi Stadium. The Grammy-winning Puerto Rican singer has been on this stage before. He sported his Niners gear while performing the anthem ahead of last year's divisional round matchup with the Cowboys.
Please join in singing our national anthem with 8-time Grammy Award winner.
And at last year's NFC Championship game in Philadelphia, it was R&B legend Anita Baker who belted out the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see
before the 49ers faced off against the Eagles. The performance by the 8-time Grammy winner clearly motivated Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, a huge fan of the soulful singer-songwriter. Philly went on to crush the Niners, who were giving it the best they had after Brock Purdy went down early.
Oh, can you see?
Back in 2022, this is how the showdown for the NFC title kicked off, with Brandy showing off her incredible voice for the crowd at SoFi Stadium in Southern California, on hand to watch the Niners lose a close one to the Rams. Brandy sported a stylish white tracksuit, a tribute to Whitney Houston's look when she performed the anthem ahead of the Super Bowl back in 1991. And during the height of the pandemic in early 2021.
Oh, say, can you see?
It was country singer Carly Pearce who performed the national anthem virtually ahead of the NFC Championship game in Green Bay, before the Buccaneers got the best of the Packers in front of a mask-wearing, socially distanced crowd. Alex Savage, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Well, I don't know if you can hear the boos, but they're pretty loud, and that's because
the Lions just came out.
The Lions just came out on the field, yeah. Hey, listen, we're talking about national anthems a little bit. I don't think anyone can, argue with this. 1991, Super Bowl 25, Whitney Houston. I don't think you were born yet.
I was not. Okay. I was not. Just like a lot of the Lions players were not born the last time they were in the last time they were in the NFC Championship game. But I watched the videos.
Yes.
I couldn't beat it, that's for sure.
Well, we've got, this place is probably about half full right now. We're getting there. And I would say, Bailey, what would you think? Maybe, Lions fans are going to arrive a little earlier than Niner fans because they've come all the way across the country for this. So right now, I would say 70-30 49er fans.
Yeah, and the Lions fans, actually, they have a little more contrast against the seats here at Levi Stadium, so I almost feel like it's easier to see them. They kind of stand out a little bit more. But I'm curious to see, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Niners fans are making up most of the crowd out at the bars in the Bay Area. Yes. We're going to bring in Alice Wirtz, who is at a bar in Walnut Creek. Alice, what is the vibe out there?
Well, Bailey, if you're half full, this is twice as full. We're here at the Stadium Pub in Walnut Creek in the East Bay. There's a lot of fashion, lots of hats, lots of smiles, and lots of beer. Everyone's getting pumped for the game that's coming up in less than an hour. They're all watching carefully to see who the contender's going to be for the Niners win. We've got just the last end of this quarter in the Kansas City and Baltimore game, but these folks are ready to party. The beverage of the day seems to be beer and champagne, lots of celebrating, but no doubt Walnut Creek is doing it for the Bay here.
Hey Alice, we got to ask you one quick question. You said it's very full there. Is it really all Niners fans? Are there any Lions fans there?
We haven't seen any Lions fans here yet. All red and white. Now, there were folks here earlier for the that were watching this game that's going on now, but then they decided they're going home to watch the Niner game. So a couple of older folks, they were like, yeah, we're just here for this early game, but we're going to go home and watch the Niner game. I don't know if that's the case with these folks we're seeing here. I think they're here for the duration. Lots of good pub grub, lots of beer flowing, lots of ladies having champagne and white wine cocktails. So it's definitely a party, and everyone is rooting for the 49ers this afternoon in Walnut Creek.
All right, thank you, Alice Wirtz in Walnut Creek, and we're going to take a little break, but we got a lot more to come on this special edition streaming live on Fox Local. Stick around. We're back in a couple of minutes from Levi Stadium.
Countdown to kickoff. I don't know about you. I'm fired up. Let's go Niners.
Welcome back to the Quest for Six, brought to you by your California Ford dealers. Take a look at beautiful Levi Stadium this afternoon. We are 43 minutes and 10 seconds away from kickoff and the NFC Championship game.
I like how you're so exact, Bailey. 10 seconds now, 43 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We work in TV, right? We gotta keep it pretty exact in this business. But we do want to toss it out. We know it's crazy here at Levi's, Jason, but I want to toss it back to the studio to Sal and Frank, who are keeping an eye on the social media feeds. Guys, what are these Niners fans saying online?
Yeah, you know, I've seen, Frank, our very own Bailey O'Carroll posting on social media. Bailey, I know you can hear me. I like your stuff being posted there. We have other people, obviously, who have posted stuff, Frank, and we're going to see it right now. People
the magic
who are
board. Let's pop it up and take a peek here.
All right.
That would help. Talking social media. There we go. There's Brock Purdy, but check it out. MVP Purdy. Keep doubting this man. I think not, and a lot of people have.
You know, I think that maybe he uses that. Oh, we got Steve Young. You know what? We're here and we have Steve Young, so we have to go back to the field to talk to this 49er legend.
Yeah, we're going to toss it down to Joe. Thank you for giving it back to us, but we're going to go straight down to the field because Joe Young, the winning quarterback on the 49ers' last championship team in 1994, the 94 season, 9 years ago. Wow, Joe.
Yeah, there's certain things yeah, when certain people show up, we say, change the programming, come here right away.
Too kind, Joe. Yeah. We've been together a long time. We were just saying it's too many years. We don't want to talk about it. But this is the feeling that we love around here, is this championship feeling.
Well, we were just talking on the lead-in to you. They said the guy who was the quarterback for the last winning 49er Super Bowl, maybe you can try to tell us everything gets turned up a notch in the playoffs. NFC Championship game, of course, that famous one with you against Dallas. What goes through the mind? You have to do some of the things that you did all year long, but it's not like a regular season game.
Championship football even heightens. Playoff football, you know, is winner you go home. You can't waste time. You got to make sure that you don't wait a couple of drives. You don't get something done and you lose the game. The Ravens are, I didn't check the last score, but they're about to find that out where it just ends. So in championship football, you cannot let drives go by. Every drive is just gold. And especially with last week, you don't want people hanging around. You know that you're more qualified. You got to go prove it, but you got to go do it early. And that's why everyone's been talking about let's get started like we usually do.
And I always love listening to your quarterback analysis when you would say you really don't know what you have till year 3 because teams have a whole year of tape on you. They identify what you don't do well. They make you do the things that you don't do well and get better at them. What's your analysis of Brock Purdy so far with barely one full season in?
So Brock, his superpower is processing, and he processes super fast because he doesn't, like, he got drafted where he did because he doesn't have the arm that can go 80 yards, and so he knows the ball's got to come out. And because of that, he has to look where he's throwing early. And I don't want teams to start to be able to run where he's looking, knowing I know Brock's there. So there's cat and mouse games as you start to play longer. He's now played a season, and so the second season is happening now where they think they have a book on you. You have to actually change your game a little bit. He needs to start looking people off. He needs to start I'd love him to get 50 yards running today, just as a reminder that, look, you can't just run to where I'm looking.
The one thing I love about your story, people probably assume, oh, he came in and he was a star the minute he came in. I love your story of when you went to BYU and what your quarterbacks coach told you down on the depth chart and what he said about left-handed quarterbacks.
He said, I'm not coaching a lefty. And I thought, well, what do I literally just so that's crazy, but he wouldn't coach me. He went for he got a new coaching job in the winter, luckily, and Ted Tollner came in, the new head offensive coordinator. I was throwing with the quarterbacks because I still loved the position, and he said, why aren't you playing quarterback anymore? He goes, well, because I'm lefty. He goes, that's stupid. I'm like, I know. Finally, someone that agrees with me. And he got me a chance in spring ball, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and you rose up the depth chart, and the rest is history, so to speak. But, you know, we always appreciate you whenever we get a chance to see you and chat in these kinds of things. And you gave me great advice last year at the AT&T Golf Tournament, and that was?
if it was in the golf tournament, I don't know if it was good advice.
You looked at me and you said, "You still doing this?" And I said, "You still doing this?" And you said,
"We're always going to be doing this."
Don't let the old man creep in. Yes.
No, the old man never gets in. Never.
So I've remembered that. I'm going to try to live by that. Thanks for stopping by and talking with us.
Let's go Faithful. Let's do it.
Thank you, man.
Nice, Joe. Appreciate
it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to you guys.
Hey, Joe, I want to ask you, because obviously Steve Young, talked about Brock Purdy a little bit, but how do you feel about the fact that Brock Purdy is facing the 27th ranked pass defense? Do you think that's going to be you think he's licking his chops a little bit, Joe?
I don't think anybody licks your chops when you're going into the playoffs. I think you know some things that you've looked at on tape and you go, this ought to work for us. And I'm sure the 49ers are looking at that Detroit defense and saying there's some things that, if we don't mess it up, that should be there. And I remember, I'll drop a name there, might as well, what the heck. I remember one time Dwight Clark told me that Bill Walsh would say, in this down and distance, on this spot on the field, you're going to be so wide open that you don't even need to worry about looking around for a defender. Just catch the ball and take off running into the end zone. And he said the first couple of times he told him that, he didn't really believe it. And then it would happen, and he'd go, oh, my God. He's right. That's exactly what Coach said would happen. I believe the 49ers have some things that they're going to say in this down and distance, at this position on the field, we ought to have some plays that'll go for big yards. And you can hear it's kind of cranking up down here. The cheers a minute ago were when the 49ers came on the field, and the boos for the Lions going on the field.
Yeah, Joe, I'm predicting a big game out of Brandon Ayuk.
All right, we'll have to see. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back here on the Quest for Six.
And welcome back to the Quest for Six. Welcome back to the Quest for Six, brought to you by your California Ford dealers, Jason Applebaum and Bailey O'Carroll. Man, it is getting hot in here. We got Do It for the Bay. Fans are packed in here. It's about 3/4 full. You see the countdown clock. We're getting close to kickoff against the Detroit Lions. And our Dave Clark had a chance to catch up with Fox pregame host Kurt Menefee and talk a little bit about the matchup and get Menefee's predictions.
The matchup between Brock Purdy and Jared Goff. two young quarterbacks. Who are you leaning towards?
You know, I think the Lions are seriously going to give the Niners a better run for their money than most people probably expect. This Lions team, offensively, I think they're as good as anybody in the league, the way they're playing right now in particular. They're struggling a little bit on defense, but I think the 49ers are struggling a little bit trying to stop the run. And you know, there may be a run or two that the Lions pop that Green Bay wasn't able to do last week. But in the end, I still think the Niners are the best team, and I think the better team wins at home. So I would take San Francisco to win this game, but I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Yeah, I can't argue with Kurt Menefee at all.
I can't either, you know. San Francisco, look at the roster on paper. We want to get down to Joe Fonzie, though.
Yeah, let's head down to Joe Fonzie. Joe, I know you don't do predictions, but just give me your take on this game.
Yeah, pretty much as I said earlier, the 49ers can't let Jared Goff be comfortable. They got to get pressure on him. And when they've been the best is when they've made their opponent one-dimensional, and that starts with stopping the running game. So those will be really key elements. We're going to just pan off for a second, let you see what's going on here, because it's building. There's no question about it. We're seeing the tight ends right there, Charlie Warner running his deal. You know, Purdy, the quarterbacks are over there. We just saw Brock Purdy and his family here a couple of minutes ago. So, yeah, it's cranking up, guys. It's playoff football. Can't wait to see it get underway real soon.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. We also want to bring Frank and Salen, who are in studio. Guys, what do you think is going to happen in this game? What are your predictions?
All right. I guess they lost their signal.
Well, go for it. Who do you like?
All right. I like the 49ers 35-21. I think the defense comes up big in this show in this game, just because they haven't had good games. I think they're due for a good game. I think they've been hearing what people have been saying about the defense not being able to set the edge, Frank. I think Nick Bosa is going to step up and have a good game.
All right. Good weather, healthy Debo, games at Levi's, and I think Purdy grew up on that final drive, had an off game, came back to lead him. I like the Niners by 10. That's it. Let's send it back to Levi's now to wrap up the show. Guys, take it away.
All right, thanks very much, guys. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think the only way the Detroit Lions win this game, Bailey, is if it becomes a shootout. I think the 49ers are going to put up a lot of points on a very porous Lions pass defense. They're stiff against the run, but they give up a lot of yards through the air, and I think Brock Purdy's going to have a big day. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going 27-14, Niners taking this one, so I think Brock Purdy's going to have this offense rolling. It is rocking here at Levi's, though, and fans are excited. Jason, what's your final score prediction?
I'm going to say 34-24 49ers, and we want to thank everyone for joining us on Fox Local, coast to coast. We'll see you later, everybody.